talking about payroll and PTO, as well as the appraisals that are on the horizon. All right. So this training today is specifically geared towards leadership aspects in Paylocity, right? In the Aspire video, you will find your full how-tos on updating taxable time, entering your on-call and on-call bonus information. That video can be found under Aspire, Resource, under Videos, and then it is called Technology Training. That Paylocity training that Jamie and Lori did was fantastic. So if you hadn't had the chance to watch that, please do. All right. So before we get started, can I get a volunteer, please? Just need a person. You can raise your hand or unmute yourself. I will pick on someone. Okay, Cole. Thank you, Cole. I appreciate you.
Nice job, Cole. I was going to
Okay.
volunteer, but I know what the presentation is, and that wouldn't be fair. So
That wouldn't be fair. All right. So, Cole, I'm going to show you a picture, and I want you to tell us what you would do in this situation. You walk into an apartment and you see this.
I would take a picture. I would contact maintenance to come out there, and then I'd go back and make sure to put in a work order for that with attaching the picture to the unit itself.
Awesome. So you'd investigate the leak, right? You want to know what was going on. You'd want to get it taken care of. Absolutely. Okay. Cool. So now let's say, Cole, I want you to meet Mr. Turner. Mr. Turner has 23 years of experience on this property. He knows the history. He knows where all your shutoffs are located. He's the only person who knows how to repair your boiler. He can handle every turnover without complaint, and every resident just thinks he's fantastic. But recently, Mr. Turner has been coming into work late. Let's say most mornings, he's grumpy, he's rolling in 15 to 20 minutes late, and when his techs ask him for help, he has complaints. He's very gruff, he's very short with them. What are you going to do now?
So I would bring it to the attention of our community director and or bringing it up to the regional if the community director is not there, while also notating all the stuff to kind of present a kind of timeline, especially for the not showing up, to provide a better coaching moment.
Perfect. Perfect. You're not going to ignore the behavior that Mr. Turner is doing just because he's a valuable resource, right? Right. Letting bad behavior continue is just as bad as letting a leak just fester, right? I mean, I know we normally say surface fungal growth, right? But do you want that big M word? Do you want that in your walls? No, absolutely not. So taking care of an employee is just as important as taking care of leaks on your property. If we look at PMI's culture as a whole, each property also has their own culture, right? And what kind of culture are you creating? Is it one with integrity? Or are we letting minor issues fester and infest our workplaces and break down our trusted teams? If I could get a second volunteer so I stop putting Cole on the hot seat. Anybody? I'll just bring Cole right back. Somebody give me a hand. It's an easy question, I promise.
let's pick a new manager, one that's recent to our team. Maybe like Amy Garber up in State College, I see is on. Who else is on? Luna, Ashley, Jenna. Jenna's new to being a multi-site community director. Naitza is a great opportunity for input.
I see any hands raised. Uh-oh.
There's Amy. I saw Amy
Amy,
raise her hand manually.
okay, I can't see you all, so thank you. Okay, Amy. So can you tell us what do you think could happen if you ignored Mr. Turner here, his change in his work ethic? What do you think could happen if we let this continue on just like the leak?
I believe a lot of things could happen. He is going to bring down the morale of the property as well as the values that you were trying to instill in the first place with having, like you said, integrity and whatnot. Um, you let things go, and it's also going to bring down the property itself physically, because if you would let a leak go like that, and then if he's not paying attention to detail and not caring as much about the properties as he did in the past 25 years, then a lot of things are going to be swept under the rug and can turn into much larger problems.
Absolutely. You're so right. You think about what happens when another technician comes in late, right? How can you address it if we're letting it go with other people? So little things can quickly get out of hand. People can quit. You have disgruntled employees, and nobody wants that. Thank you so much for volunteering, both of you. I appreciate you. Appreciate you let me pick on you there. So today we are discussing a valuable resource that you have at your fingertips, and it is called journaling. So to journal, what you're going to want to do is you log into Paylocity, and on the left side of your screen, you'll see this bar here that you click on performance, and um, in the center of the screen here, once it pops up, you would click on this create journal. What is really cool about journaling? It's a great way to follow up after a meeting by sharing training information or other action items that you have on your agenda. You can also document your own work experience, either thoughts or reflections of what's going on. Um, by journaling, employees can gain self-awareness, they can improve focus, and they can enhance their problem-solving skills. It also serves as a tool for tracking progress, managing stress, and even fostering creativity. There are many templates available for positive reflection and for documenting behaviors for accountability purposes. I listed 3 of my favorites here that you can pull from the templates. You've got the note option, which is the free-form memos. This is great if you're copying and pasting an email or something you don't want to forget about. The employee one-to-one, those are great conversation starters. This kind of gives you the ability to ask questions, set goals, really engage in what's going on with someone on a weekly basis. And the weekly check-in also lay out some great action items. So once you decide on the template that you would like to use, you also have the option of adding additional team members. This can either be for involvement or for awareness. You can add multiple employees or you can add none. There's 2 different ways to do the journaling template. So if you see,
I have the floor 1 second, Shell. I just want to interject
yeah,
on the employees stuff. So, just to put it out there, don't include peer-to-peer. Typically, what that role is for specifically would be if a regional is working or wants maintenance to enhance performance and develop a plan of attack to knock out excess turns or elevated work order numbers. He or she could journal that and then tag the community director. Similarly, if a community director is working with a technician that we know is a little bit of a challenge, including that maintenance supervisor or their one up. So kind of always look at it as involving your upper level leadership, not necessarily sharing across groups of people within the community. Because that, the mentality is, praise in public and problem solve in private. So just don't involve everybody in those journals. Just keep mindful of who you would share that with from an employee standpoint.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes. I was thinking more along the lines of if you're doing a training and there's multiple people, you can add those people in there so they have that for tracking items too. Well, I think one of the biggest questions we get in journaling is, can the person see it? Right? So the one thing I want you to keep in your mind is the toggle switch that you see, right? When it's blue, the answer is yes to the question. So like for this one in the center here, where it says journal template, make journal private. Yes, that's going to stop right there. No one else can see the notes that you're making, okay? When you flip to the other side, where it says make journal private and the toggle is dark, it's gray, the answer is no. You're not making it private, you're adding information. So in this picture, I'm showing, I want to journal about someone else. I'm going to be putting in a message on how awesome JB is, and I'm going to share that journal with her. I'm going to talk about, things that we met, what we discussed, all of that good stuff, and I'm sharing it with her so she can see that information. So just keep in mind, blue answers yes to the question. Does that make sense? Everybody good with the blue? I highly recommend setting a journal as a recurring task for yourself just to keep it fresh. All right. So we often talk about having difficult conversations, but not all conversations need to be crucial conversations, basically where we're dealing with high stakes or conflicting opinions, right? Often addressing something in the moment without aggression or ultimatums is all we need to have that course correction. So how can journaling assist with this? Well, by documenting the small stuff, you can keep the data that you need as a backup that you may need for a heavier conversation down the road, or documenting a non-severe issue just in case it does elevate. Let me give you a great example. On February 15th, we discussed the dress code as a team, okay? And on March 2nd, I had a conversation with Stubbs regarding he was wearing 5-inch heels, right? And that's an issue because it goes against our dress code. He changed, everything was fine. But then he came in again today wearing those 5-inch heels. So we asked, I need you to change immediately, not wear them again. That may not be a call to HR, right? But if it happens again tomorrow, that could elevate into something else, something disrespectful, something insubordinate. So having that pattern, that data of when we've had those conversations that may have just been little one-off conversations in the moment really helps tell the story. Now, it's not necessarily just one person's responsibility to document things, but the whole point is that if you see something that's not right, say something. Don't let things fester. Meeting regularly with your team members helps discuss goals and how you help each other. And then you can track it and journaling for accountability purposes. So let's talk about some effective ways to journal, especially when it flips to the unpleasant side. So you do have the option of copying an email that was sent or documenting an event that it stays fresh in your mind. But when journaling, stick to the story. Think of a police report. Harper was 30 minutes late to work today. He's doing it 0800. Again, on Friday, 15 minutes late, Thursday to half an hour late. You want to have that information. You're not going into the drama. You're just going into what was going on. Capture details while they're fresh and without emotions. I can tell you, if you're slamming the keys while you're making the notes, then you're going to want to put that through the AI Copilot that we have, right? Capture it while it's fresh in your mind, not a month later. Use concrete examples. If you witnessed it, oh, go ahead. Angela asked a question. Was that for me? Because it's for later. You're on mute.
I just said, okay, then just want to make sure you covered it.
I'm not there yet.
Okay.
If you're slamming keys, use the AI to pilot. We're using concrete examples, something that you've witnessed, right? Let's not put hearsay in there or what you assume happened. Use concrete examples. Include measurable metrics. Think of all the great data that Yardi can provide. On last week, SOSA completed 5 work orders, and we did not account for 8 hours of time. This week, we've only accounted for 10 hours on the work logs. So really using the data that you can pull to give information, those metrics to what you're documenting. For your language, avoid using subjective or biased language. Like, you don't want to say, Kyle was always late. Kyle never answers the phone. I mean, unless you've got the data to back that up, stay away from words like always and never. Focus on the behavior, not the personality. You want to center your feedback on actions rather than attacking their character. And set a follow-up. Addressing an issue one time, that may be enough. But perhaps this employee needs a mentor or they need assistance working through a problem. So if it's something that you can assist with, set a follow-up and do it. So the SBI method, this is a great little acronym as a reminder on how to address difficult situations. And it's perfect for proper documentation purposes. This works a lot really well in in-person conversations. For example, for someone's behavior, you're not going to say, JT is a jerk, right? That doesn't give us what we need. But you can say, during today's meeting, JT kept speaking over top of his coworkers. When team members are not given a chance to speak, it stifles creativity, and they're finding JT difficult to work with, right? So the SBI method, it talks about the situation, what's happening, and how their behavior is impacting others or results, right? So we're thinking about how we can address things. It's not a personal attack. We're using all of those measurable metrics and avoiding subjective and biased language. Does that make sense? Something nice and easy, sticking to the story. Now, one thing I want to point out with journaling, we do not hide behind journaling. We're going to have conversations. We're going to talk with people. We're going to work to find resolutions together. Journaling is a great way to follow up on the conversations that we've had and tag the person. If we're having effective conversations with our team members, they already know what the journal entry says, right? But this is a written action plan, or it's just a follow-up to the conversations that you're having. And don't forget, journaling can also be a great way of setting goals, giving timelines. You think about our SMART goals, right? Measurable, actionable timelines. So you're setting those goals and you're putting them in our journal entries. Before we move on to the Paylocity payroll and pay time off notes, does anyone have any questions so far? Saving them all for the end, I see. Okay. All right.
quick show of hands or just some acknowledgement on how many people knew about journaling already and are using it. All right. That's good to know.
A couple.
Nice.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you. All right. So a couple
Michelle?
of things with payroll and Paylocity. Please remember, spoke with Lori, our wonderful Lori, who is great with our payroll. Please make sure that we are approving payroll as early as possible on Monday mornings. She doesn't want to have to chase you down. And the last thing we want to do is not be able to get someone's payroll in because we didn't have time to get it done, right? So that should be a priority first thing. And if you check it daily, or at least by the end of the day every Friday, it shouldn't be that big of a deal, right? If someone has a PTO request in, please approve those quickly rather than letting them sit there. There were recent issues where there was a PTO request that was sitting there for over 2 months. That's not fair to your team members. So let's make sure that we check our coverage and we approve those quickly. We should be communicating all paid time off among the team. So how that can affect other team members, making sure we have coverage, making sure that that maintenance supervisors are aware that maintenance technicians are going to be off. That is especially helpful when it comes to turnover planning. Planned PTO. So things happen. Week-long vacations should be requested at least 2 weeks in advance. And then also think about coverage. I know this time of year we get a lot of requests for hunting, right? And people are out for a bunch of time. We want to make sure that everyone who has that PTO is given the opportunity to request it and then make sure that we have coverage for that. The expectations for calling off or leaving early must be handled with your direct supervisor in advance. If you cannot get in touch with them, please send something in advance or send something to them in writing, please. You want to document time off immediately. This is especially important if one of your team members has taken off for the day. Don't wait till payroll comes around because that is a communication piece that everyone needs to know. And we can easily look and see if someone is in the office. A reminder about on-call. So any properties that have the eligibility for the on-call bonus, there is a minimum of 5 days for eligibility for the on-call bonus. So if they're splitting weeks, they are not eligible for that on-call bonus. Please make sure that we are putting on-call in the system as soon as possible. And Lori's biggest request was about PTO. The PTO must be used first. You cannot put requests in for unpaid time off. That is for supervisors to document that they're aware to capture the full time in the work week. Hopefully no one is on that at this current time and everyone has plenty of PTO left. And lastly, if you miss cutoff, please contact HR support at rentpmi.com. It is super important. Lori wants to make sure that everything's taken care of. If she doesn't know that something is missed, there could be an issue. So just if you miss it, please contact her. But if we stay on top of payroll, that should not be a problem. All right. Giving recognition. So people can be motivated by a number of different factors. There are motivators like the salary and benefits. They're important, right? But they're not often the sole driver of long-term employment. Intrinsic motivators such as a sense of purpose, growth opportunities, a sense of belonging, a positive work environment, working with some really cool people. They're crucial for motivation and job satisfaction. A simple thank you can mean so much. So a great way to share good news is giving recognition in Paylocity. You would access that from the left toolbar. It was right there under performance. And that will pull up this screen here. And you can just give a quick shout out by clicking on that give recognition. When used effectively, this is a great way to build morale. You can also use this to document resident reviews. If you call work orders, asking how their service was, documenting any Google reviews, just giving co-owner shout outs that they did an awesome job. Has everyone seen the recognition before? It is after lunch, people. Come on. Oh, I know it's mute. It's hard when it's a Teams meeting. I know. All right. So as we are getting close to the self-appraisals and the employee reviews that I know everyone loves, the more data-driven information we have in Paylocity with our journaling, the easier it's going to be to create that full vision, comprehensive story of the year, not just how nice your team has been for the last 2 weeks. So I'm going to hand it over to Angela to give us an update on what's going on with our employee reviews. In 1 second.
Yeah, I'm trying to, can Jess Beck give me the floor? Oops. Sorry, my phone's been blowing up. Hopefully nobody needs me. Otherwise, you know where I'm at right now. So,
We're all here. Do I have to stop sharing, Jess, in order to make that work?
Can you hear me?
yes.
Yeah, you don't need to, Michelle. You should be fine.
Okay.
Well, maybe. No, go ahead and try it.
let me
You
see.
may handle the presenter, but go ahead and just
All right.
stop sharing for a second and then
Let me
do it
peek.
again once Angela is done.
Okay. So one of the things that I've done this year is take our prior review process and I've expanded it to gain more feedback on what we're doing great as a division, what you guys out in the field need from us, what you need from each other. And so we're still sticking with the results part of the employee review. So you and your teams will still grade yourself and grade your subordinates on the results portion. Let me kind of show you what has changed from years past. What's changed from years past is there's a secondary portion of the review that really drills into what you need, any tools that might help you grow. But again, so the results is still part of the review process. You will have the opportunity to self-rate on all of the items for results, right? So that hasn't changed at all. We even left the explanation of what each of those key letters in the words results means. So the secondary part of that is other competencies. So this is where it's going to get a little bit different. And this is where I want to open the floor for some discussion. So job knowledge. The rating specifically is to be for job knowledge only. How well do you know your job? That's the basic question. The comment part of the job knowledge is your opportunity to share with us at a corporate level, because I can extract all of the reviews and kind of drill into what everyone has shared, right? So the comment part of the job knowledge, what training do you wish you had or would like to have learned more? So you have the opportunity to tell us, hey, my job knowledge is maybe a 4, but in order to get to a 5, here's what I think I need. That's the other change from years past. all of the items are scaled from 1 to 5. We are not using 1s and 2s anymore. I think that set a lot of people up for some confusion, number one, for some kind of ambiguity. Like 1 was you're not performing, or 0 is not performing at all, and 2 was you're awesome, but everybody expected to get 2s, which is not how that works. So the ratings are superior achievement. These are going to be your rock star players. You don't need to tell them what to do. They show up, they do it to the best of their darn ability, and they are the example of what a good employee looks like in that category. 4 is still high level of achievement. 4 is great. 4 means, typically everything's done on time, no problems with tardiness, everything is great. 3 is average. No one should get offended if you get 3s. 3s is the midline for success in any competency that we're outlining, right? 2 is a low level of achievement. That means that we've had some conversations. We've documented some things. There's journals about the performance or the timeliness of showing up for work, or the timeliness of assignments due or reports due. 1 is you're scraping by. And there have probably been difficult conversations or performance improvement plans or coaching plans or some sort of other formalized documentation that you are struggling in this competency. So job knowledge, again, is how well do you know your job? The comment section is what can we do to elevate you in that competency? Quality of work, rate yourself. But then you have the opportunity to say, are there any obstacles to you excelling at your role? What's getting in your way from being awesome, right? Share with us, share with your leadership, share with your co-owner that's mentoring you. What is your obstacle to excelling in your role? Communication skills. This is not just communication with your superiors. This is not just communication with members of your team. This is communication. Are you giving kudos on Paylocity? Does your team always know kind of what's on the horizon next? Are you collaborating? All of that stuff that falls under trusted team and the results, this really speaks to that in a communication standpoint. So if you are giving yourself a midline rating, what accomplishments have you shared with your team? Let's get you up and over that hump. Collaboration, how well do you think that you're collaborating? And the comment section is, do you feel your team is working well collaboratively? Why or why not? We can't help you work more collaboratively if you're not asking us for help. I think one of the things that in some recent conversations with some co-owners out on site is people are really starting to understand the impact of don't let me do anything stupid. Like somebody said that to me yesterday, and I had to laugh because I said, that's fantastic that you trust me and our leadership enough to say, hey, I don't like where this is going. I'm having a struggle with this. I'm having a challenge with that, and trusting that we will help you get over that hump. So if your team is not collaborating, what's getting in the way? Is it communication discussed earlier? Is it trust? Is it accountability? What's working well collaboration-wise? Problem-solving abilities. What's one issue you want to work on in the coming year? So problem-solving abilities in my eyes, and I think most of our leadership's eyes, is, are you empowered to make good decisions? Are you able to forecast what's coming on the horizon, develop a plan to fix it? Or are you constantly in reactive mode going, oh crap, this happened, I need to call my regional. I don't know what to do. Not saying that that's not a great thing to do when you have a great relationship with your leadership, but similarly, if you're having maintenance supervisors that really aren't capable of making sound field decisions, this is the opportunity to address that. Hey, why didn't you answer, call? Or, hey, Mrs. Jones reported this surface fungal growth 6 months ago. How come it isn't addressed? That's problem solving ability, and that's something that you'll want to address working on in the coming year. Initiative is in here. Is there something you wish you could do in your role, but is somebody else's responsibility? This really looks inside at what is driving you. What do you want to do more of? What do you feel your hands are tied with? What do you, what aspirations do you have to do more, learn more, be more within this organization? And then finally, motivation. This is your opportunity to say, hey, this is just a job for me. I love it. But I'm cool where I'm at. Hopefully that's not the case. If it is, fine. There's workers, there's leaders, there's executors, there's all sorts of roles for different people in this organization. This asks the question, what do you hope to be doing within the company a year from now or 5 years from now? It really dives into what can make us better as an organization, what your role and desires are within this organization, and understand you can be phenomenal at all of these and you can still have great motivation. But I want to hear from everybody this year what aspirations you have for your role at PMI. And if you can be perfectly honest and say, yeah, I'm good where I'm at. And that's fine too. There shouldn't be any shame in saying, I'm great where I'm at. I'm learning. I'm developing more every day. Maybe 5 years from now, I'd like a change, but that's where you can really put some thought into this. I'll stop sharing because that's what it is. And that's what's coming down the pipeline. That being said, these reviews, because they are a little bit more comprehensive, are going to take a little more time than historically you've had to do them before. Because in all honesty, the review process was pretty, you just kind of knocked it out. This is really going to take a little bit more time, a little more self-reflection, a little more opportunity to voice what you need from us, but do not wait until the last minute to get these reviews across the finish line, because I want you to sit down and really think about what contributions we need to give you to be successful and what contributions you want to bring to the organization as you elevate, grow, and inspire others around you within PMI. So that's what's coming down the pipeline from the review process. It is quite the change from years past, but I felt it was really invaluable to get feedback, not just kind of rank somebody as a 1, 2, or 3. So again, we're changing it from 1 to 5, so you have some bandwidth to be really particular on, hey, you're a 4. I know you can be a 5, but I'd really like to see your reports turned in on time. Hey, I think you're a 3. You show up every day, you do a great job, but you leave exactly at 5 o'clock every day. And regardless of what's going on, there was a water leak, you left, all of that stuff. You're doing a great job, but there is more to growing and developing within this role. Any questions on that? Don't see any, don't see any. All right. Good stuff.
Awesome.
Did I miss anything, Shell? I know that's kind of one of the first times you've seen it all in its glory.
No,
but...
it looked great. It looked great.
Yeah.
And that just goes back to the point of, if we're journaling, you literally can look through all of the notes that you've made, and you kind of got a timeline, or as I like to say, a growth chart, right? We show the growth, we show what people have learned, we have that data at our fingertips to be able to go, awesome, well, in January we were struggling with this, look how far this person's come. And then you've got factual information, you can pop right into their review, right? I highly encourage the journaling. If you have questions about anything with payroll, please watch Jamie's awesome video. That is the one thing. They spend a lot of time, have a lot of great information. And this was more looking at the leadership aspect of what we do every day. And all that. Mariah has a great question, Angela. I'll defer to you on that one. It was
I'll need to check on that. I'm not sure. Not sure. We may be able to get, I know there was talk about getting like each community kiosks. It was something that I wanted to do as part of the leadership liftoff. We have a situation where some of our computers will become obsolete by the end of this year. So we're kind of doing, well, not we, I will give full credit. Jess Beck and Mike Campbell have locked it out and said, okay, these are all the computers that we need to replace, swap out. So that kind of took priority over getting kiosk laptops or kiosk pads for every site. But that is the goal, is every site should have something that people can either use to do Aspire training, to do know before training, to do reviews, to take photographs and load into to Yardi if necessary, if their phone doesn't have the capability. So that's the goal, is to get kind of into that 20th century and be able to get across the vision. I'll double check with Jamie though. If each of you could email, and I know this is more likely on the affordable side than conventional, but if each of you could email me specifically, if your site has no capability to access Paylocity and do a review, and or your team has had to do paper reviews in the past. Because the goal with the change to this is taking all of that data, extrapolating it out into an Excel spreadsheet, and really kind of digging into what everybody has said. And the paper aspect of that may be a little detrimental to being able to do that, unless I have somebody on my team that might be able to input those into the Excel file. But that's a very tedious process, so we'll see.
awesome. Any other questions?
Michelle, I have something. I think maybe something we missed in regards to HR, like when do we bring HR into it, if needed?
Well, when you're talking about discipline,
Yeah,
right?
I just
This
know
was
that you
more
did
on
for your-
journaling, which
Okay.
is coaching,
Okay,
right? Or it's the good stuff,
okay,
right? It's having good conversations and not necessarily taking it to that level.
okay,
HR is always welcome in conversations. They're always available, except for Fridays. No, but I'm joking. I'm joking. There's always someone available. But they're always available and can be brought into conversations at any time. We have a fantastic team here, that really care about everyone, I will say. And so they can be brought in. But really, when we're journaling, we're not going to call Jamie every time somebody sneezes wrong, right? Right. But if someone does some things that aren't quite right, we're going to have those conversations. We're just going to document it,
Sure.
or we're going to share good stuff and appreciation and say thank you and really write down all the awesome stuff people are doing so we don't forget about it.
Right. Yeah,
So
and
they
I
feel
want to.
appreciated.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on that briefly, is we should never be afraid of HR. I think that conversations with HR can really bring an unbiased and calming presence in most instances to some difficult conversations. So if the need arises to escalate an issue outside of just journaling or having on-site difficult conversations or anything like that, loop in your regional. Do not, unless the problem is with leadership. I've never been one to say, hey, all of us are perfect. If you're struggling with leadership or have feedback, loop us in first. Have those conversations with me or your leadership. My door is always open. Everybody who has stepped in my office really knows that. The other side of it is if you're not comfortable enough to do that for whatever reason, please reach out to your regional or head straight to HR. I mean, I don't like jumping loops, but if you're having concerns that warrant HR intervention, feel free to reach out to them. Sometimes just a calming voice of, hey, well, did you do this or did you try that, can really bring some clarity to an otherwise muddy situation. Conversely, always keep HR in the loop. If you're struggling with someone and HR doesn't know about it and all of a sudden stuff hits the fan and nothing's journaled, nothing's documented, and all of a sudden you're having to let somebody go and HR suddenly gets involved and there's no history or there's no data or there's no information, HR really doesn't like that because chances are that person is going to file for unemployment. It could go to the Human Relations Commission. It could escalate into all sorts of other things that HR would have to defend PMI. HR's sole role is to protect our co-owners and PMI as a company. And as soon as everybody kind of realizes that that's the goal and the intent of HR, I think that also brings some clarity to the picture, is just making sure that we're protected as an organization and as co-owners. Yes, Jess Beck. HR can see anything we journal unless it's marked private.
I think, I don't know if it was really so much of a negative aspect, but just in general, like, so if you wanted to recognize somebody for their strengths, or like if you were looking to do a promotion, like, I think it was just all around question of just HR in general is what I
Yeah.
was leaning towards. Yeah.
Yeah. As far as the kudos and stuff are concerned, I think, putting it out in Paylocity for kind of, because everybody can see that. I don't know if when you log in, you can go into recognition. But like, I know Eric Shirley was just recognized the other day for being a rock star during an inspection with a very difficult owner of a community that historically has been a challenge. So making sure that kind of everybody understands what warrants a kudos, going above and beyond, just doing a great job, being passionate, being communicative, problem solving, all of that stuff. Anything else? Anything we're forgetting, Jess, Beck?
No, Michelle already asked me that yesterday.
And for those that don't know, Jess Beck really is who keeps all of us in leadership in line on a daily basis. She's really kind of put together this whole platform with the Tuesday toolkits, the Tuesdays training, all of that we have not historically had before. So I do owe her a massive shout out for that. She's been killing it on the training side of things.
Yes. Thank you,
Thank you.
Jess. Absolutely. All right. So if there's any other questions we can answer, we've got the group. Gladly open it up. If not, we're going to give you 40 minutes back in your day.
Woo. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your attendance. Hopefully more of these coming down the pipeline.